Hello, friends, and welcome. My name is Bonnie Schmidt, and I'm so glad that all of you are here. I am a Neurosciences master trainer, and NEAR stands for Neuroscience, Epigenetics, Adverse Childhood Experiences, and Resilience. And I'm honored to be here today as your host for this presentation on resilience. All of the information and the slides that you see today are from the program ACE Interface, which is the program where I received my training. Can't wait to get started, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for you, and we'll get going. All right, so for you here, I added my email, so please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about this presentation or any of the Neurosciences information. I also want to say a heartfelt thank you to the Clallam Resilience Project and to Kitsap Strong for being leaders in their community on bringing more resilience to their communities. All right, so when people hear about the ACE study findings, they often ask, what now? What next? And they often ask about resilience. And people get so excited about the notion of resilience, in part because it reminds us that supportive actions really truly matter. Our desire for resilience leads naturally to a search for ways to help families and communities. So there are three protective systems that interact and guide positive adaptation. These powerful systems are individual capabilities, attachment and belonging with caring and competent people, and protective community, faith, and cultural processes. So we know that the three protective systems are nested and that people do best when they are living in thriving families and communities. And we can really help one another to develop personal attributes that help us weather all of life's storms. Personal attributes like a positive view of one's life, self-efficacy, and self-regulation are all discussed at length in the resilience literature. So positive view lets me know that I'm important and I'm valuable, and it helps me to ask for help when I need it. Positive view is closely related to hope, and together they help me to not give up. Positive view is also about the story that we tell ourselves that says, good things happen to me. And when we notice the core gifts of each person and help them find opportunities to give those gifts to a community they care about, we are helping to generate positive view and hope. People with positive view and hope and social emotional support are more likely to complete at least 1 year of post-high school education, are less likely to be depressed, and are more likely to be employed. Self-efficacy is the belief that what I do influences what happens to me. Simple things do help build self-efficacy, like asking people to do tasks or chores that have real value for the family or community, and encouraging a person to build skills that are complex and take time to develop. Self-regulation is our ability to gauge our state of mind and emotions and to keep these things under control while we navigate a social situation. When we can't or don't read the situation and adapt our behavior to it, the social aspects of life become more difficult. There are a number of strategies for practicing self-regulation. And I'm sure that you have your favorites as well. Depending on the cultural environment, these might include belly breathing or mindfulness, prayer, movement, biofeedback practices and techniques, and other common things. While there are certainly our individual capabilities that are associated with recovery and resilience, these are often the very same capabilities that do not develop well when experiencing toxic stress. Believing that people could just try harder to be what their biological adaptations keeps them from being is a circular logic that is really not helpful. The second protective system we can nurture is belonging. Many people talk about the importance of other people in their lives and people who recognize and encourage our unique talents, interests, and strengths. Relationships with caring and competent people are vital contributors to resilience and recovery. Competent people are people who are going to hold a container of safety for an individual. And sometimes this message gets shortened and only includes caring relationships. But competency really requires learning new skills and practicing safety in all forms when relating to people who are hardwired for survival in a dangerous or unpredictable world. People who really have a lot of difficulty with emotional regulation or picking up on social cues, or problems with addiction and family bonds and other consequences of developmental trauma can be really challenging friends and neighbors. So relationships that provide security and belonging will become the norm as we learn and improve our skills and competencies to be relevant and helpful during times of stress and challenge, as well as during celebration and rest. If we've decided to really dramatically improve health and safety for this and future generations, we must foster thriving communities. Fostering thriving communities is about empowerment. It's about investing in the people who have the absolute most at stake in our communities so that they can be the expert leaders of their own communities' change. As we invest in community capacity, we can systematically provide education about neurobiology, about adverse childhood experiences, and about resilience so that local people have a common language and framework for cross-sector and multidisciplinary work. Building community capacity is really about helping people learn, manage, and improve their efforts in a very systematic way. And it's really about providing flexible funding and state-of-the-art education and direct supports that help mobilize everyone who wants to help. Public and private partners that foster thriving communities learn from those communities and celebrate exceptional results from their work. To learn more about capacity building processes, we look to communities that have changed the way people work together to solve tough problems and have had stunning success. And success doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey that intentionally builds new capacities and supports healing and prevention. So, when communities engage in capacity building, they dig deep into the human experiences that have shaped their past and influenced the present. From generation to generation, people pass their history of experience, including its rich heritage, language, and beautiful traditions, and also its experience of historic trauma, things like slavery, racism, or injustice. While the original ACE study of the 1990s didn't measure historic trauma like slavery or children being taken from their parents and forced to deny their cultural and language in boarding school, current neurobiology and research shows that these and other traumatic experiences that elevate stress hormones for long periods of time during child development have enduring effects. But for every trauma history, there is also a survival history, a history of true resilience. Cultural continuity, including reclaiming cultural ways after a time of loss, is a powerful driver of well-being. Doctors Bonnie and Eduardo Duran advise that one of the very first things that has to be done is to ask the community what is important to the community. Linda Tuhiwai Smith of the University of Waikato agrees. Communities are the ones who know the answers to their own problems. Visits to community, which have developed their own programs, demonstrate both the creativity alive and well at the community level and the strength of commitment shown when the program is owned by the community. In their study about the effects of cultural continuity in Canada's First Nations, Michael Chandler and Christopher Lalonde found that self-government, land claims, education, health services, cultural facilities, and having tribally controlled police and fire significantly reduced the relative risk of suicide among youth. The right to self-govern reduced relative risk of youth suicide by 85%, while cultural continuity in education reduced relative risk by 52%. Each successful community has traveled that journey in very different ways because each community is unique. But communities that have reduced major social problems, reduced the percent of young people with high ACE scores, and improved key factors for resilience do use similar processes for achieving better results. They use these processes to work over time to build new capacities for helping one another, to thrive in new capacities for aligning resources and systems so they can achieve better results. So in Washington state, a system of community public health and safety networks call these communities high capacity communities. And the process that they've been using since 1994 is called general community capacity development. And it's a public health approach to solving interrelated problems by improving people's connections, their shared responsibility, and the collective impact of their efforts. So community capacity development puts into place a 4-phased iterative process that you see here to nurture development of healthy and productive adults, regardless of the circumstances into which they are born. It is an approach that invites all members of the community to shift the ways we engage with one another on a day-to-day basis, improving people's connections, shared responsibility, skills, and advocacy. This approach increases the collective impact of services and neighborhood initiatives by aligning efforts around common purpose. The 4 phases in this process are leadership expansion, coming together around issues of importance to the community, learning together, and results-based decision-making. So the process is really powerful because success in one phase propels success in the next phase. And it generates a very virtuous cycle with the power to improve population health and uses all the resources in the community, including its people power. There is a predictable pattern to transformative change, and it begins with discovery and communication, which leads people to clarify their values and thinking. With new knowledge and new habits of thinking, people change the actions they take in everyday life. The collective actions of many people shape a new reality that is ratified in organizational and policy change. And the truth is that people create a new reality long before the laws are passed. So the change is up to us. It is truly shaped by our thoughts, our conversations, the way we relate with one another in relationships and families and in communities. There is a really important shift that happens for all of us when we ask the question, what happened to you? What is the story of your life? And how can we help versus what is wrong with you? A person's ACE score does not define them. Many people that are affected by adverse childhood experiences are becoming the leaders of their communities. Working together, we can build the necessary capacity for true resilience within ourselves, our families, and our communities. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so honored to just be here with all of you. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at www.clallamresilienceproject.org. I hope that this finds you well and that you are having a beautiful day. Bye.